For my French final project, I chose to research the life and accomplishments of Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo was born February 26, 1806 in Bescan, France. He died May 22, 1855 in Paris. He was alive and well known during the Romantic era and the French Revolution. This took place during the 19th century. He was a famous author, poet, and playwright. His family. His mom was named Sophie Trepcu, and his mom was a Catholic royalist. His father was named Joseph Lepoid Sigbert Hugo. His dad was a military officer who was later known for serving as a general under Napoleon. He had two older brothers named Abel and Eugene. While Hugo was raised Catholic by his mom, later in life he became like his dad and became a supporter of republicanism. For school, Victor attended Lycée Louis Le Grand and later attended the University of Paris. His mom believed in a good and proper education. She made sure that all of her sons had a good quality education, and Victor went on to receive his law degree from the University of Paris. Victor's early life. At the age of just 17, him and his two older brothers founded a journal called the Literary Conservative. His first book of verse was published in 1822 and was called Odes and Various Poems. Many of these poems marked him as a supporter of the Bourbon monarchy. He then became his own romantic poet, and when he appeared in the Orientals in 1829. He wrote a historical play, Cromwell, which was later published in 1827. This later on became a major document in the Romantic theory. His first drama was called Hernani in 1830. This drew a lot of attention to Hugo. This sparked a revolution in French theater. It also established Hugo to be the undisputed leader of the French Romantic movement. He also had many other famous works when he was young. Some of his most notable plays was The King is Amused, which came out in 1832, Rue Blas, which came out in 1838, and he had a famous novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which came out in 1831, which really made him famous. Some of his successful books of poetry include Leaves of Autumn in 1831, Songs of Twilight in 1835, and Inner Voices in 1837. Lastly, his most notable poem was Raisin Shadows, which he had written in 1840. In 1822, he married his lifelong love since high school, Adele Fouché. He married her after his mom died because she opposed them to be married to each other. Later, they had 4 children, Lepidine, Adele, Charles, and Francois. Political activity. His writing diminished for many years and because of many reasons. His play, The Burgraves, failed in the year 1843. During this year, his oldest daughter, who he was extremely close to, drowned on vacation with her husband. He got into politics then, which took up the majority of his time. In the year 1848, the revolution established a second republic in France. Hugo's political views that were once in favor of monarchism switched to republicanism. He was then elected to the French National Assembly. Victor was a strong believer of the expansion of voting rights and free education. He was also in support originally of Louis Napoleon, but was then opposing him when he saw that he wasn't a president and becoming a tyrant. He also was one who tried to abolish the death penalty in France. In the year 1851, Louis Napoleon overthrew the Republic and took the name of Napoleon III. Hugo went into exile for about a period of 20 years. He first went to live in Belgium. In 1853, he was famous for publishing the Chastisement, which is a collection of poems that denounced Napoleon for destroying the Second Republic. He had a chance to then go back to France, but rejected it. He said that he would only return of liberty and nothing else. While in exile, Hugo published some of his most famous works, including The Contemplations in 1856. This is an autobiography about Hugo as a political leader and a poet. Next was The Legend of Duties in 1859, which was an epic poem. Lastly, in 1862, he wrote Les Miserables. In this play, it is a parallel of the main character, Jean Valjean, to Hugo. The novel reflects Hugo's faith in the individual's power of self-determination against overwhelming odds. The main character, Valjean, struggles to lead an honest life despite the prejudice of a cruel society. Lastly, he wrote his novel 93, which came out in 1874. This addressed the moral dilemmas raised by events that were caused by the French Revolution. Why today is he still worth knowing about? He became a symbol of freedom to the majority of French people during his exile. In 1870, he returned to France in triumph after Napoleon III was overthrown. What legacy has he left behind? He spent his final years celebrated by the French people as a champion of democracy of the common people. He gained much popularity through his works. Both Britain and the U.S. honor him for being a novelist, while the French honor him for his triumph and for being a novelist. He ended his work by predicting a human destiny of continual material and moral progress. I hope you enjoyed my project on Victor Hugo.